Hello race fans, welcome to another video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and make sure to leave a like, comment and share if you like my content. Currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you like my content, make sure to show your support. Today we will be talking about the Rockingham truck race. NASCAR is back at the Rock. You love to see it. I'm a bit perplexed though as to why they scheduled the truck race for Friday afternoon and the Xfinity race for Saturday, especially at a track with no lights. I get the whole it's Easter Sunday, which is why the Cup Series is having the week off, but still, they have raced on Easter Sunday before. The Bristol Dirt Race a few years ago was held on Easter Sunday. Not to mention, Rockingham has no lights, so it would make way more sense to have the trucks on Saturday and Xfinity on Sunday. And if NASCAR still wants to have something on Friday, the ARCA East Series is also there, so have them race on Fridays. Not that many people watch ARCA these days, so having them race on a Friday afternoon is not that big of a deal compared to, you know, a National Series race. It's just so frustrating when NASCAR races at tracks with no lights and they decide to schedule these truck races on weekdays in the late afternoon. They did this with Pocono and Talladega last year, and those races ended at or near sunset. However, since this is NASCAR's first time racing at this venue in 12 years, I guess I'll let it slide, but man, if they're not gonna put lights on this track, they should avoid scheduling a truck or Xfinity race on a late afternoon Friday whenever possible. It's just not optimal. But yeah, like I said, we're back at the Rock, baby. NASCAR is coming back to its roots, and I love it. And the racing was pretty kick-ass too. I had mentioned for the past couple of weeks how disappointing this month of April has been overall, especially in the Cup Series. So we needed a race like this. It's pretty ironic that I say this considering that this is an off week for the Cup Series, but that's just the state of things right now. Track positions still matter in this race, but with the surface not being as grippy, probably because of the repave they did prior to it, there was a lot of close quarters racing, especially in the first two stages. Passing was possible in both the short and long run. We saw it in stage 1 where we had a 4-way battle for the win that culminated with Lane Riggs running down and passing the pole sitter Jake Garcia to win the stage. Riggs also went on to win stage 2, and yeah, the top 5 they stayed the same as in stage 1. But like I said, the racing was pretty good. You have some guys betting on track position like Grant Enfinger, who took 2 tires. Caden Honeycutt took 2 as well, and he was competitive in the short run. At one point, he even challenged Lane Riggs and Enfinger for the lead with an awesome 3-wide pass. Of course, the 34 got him back in the long run thanks to some lap traffic, but that was some exciting stuff. Unfortunately, a slow stop during the stage 2 yellow will derail Lane Riggs to 10th, and he would ultimately never recover to challenge for the win again. But there were comers and goers in this race, especially in stage 3 when the race became a war of attrition and you had a couple of wrecks like Ty Majeski in turn 2. That crash actually red flagged the race for a quick 10 minutes to repair the safer wall. And then soon after the race resumed, we had another big crash that took out Stuart Friesen, Tanner Gray and Matt Mills. There were also a couple of mechanical failures, particularly from the ThorSport stable, with Crafton and Ben Rhodes coming down with dashboard fire and power steering respectively. And you add on to that the fact that the race ended on an 80-lap green flag run with the leader short on fuel. Again, this was, for all intents and purposes, a blast from the past type of race. No overtime, no wreckfest, just drivers managing and taking care of their stuff up until the end. That's 21 consecutive races now we've gone without overtime in the Truck Series, which is a new record. You love to see it. But yeah, a long green flag run to end the race. Some drivers tried to gamble by staying out, Corey Heim chief among them, which was definitely a strategy to say the least, especially when he decided to just go all out and start putting distance between himself and the rest of the field before he made his final pit stop. I don't think I've ever seen someone do that instead of, you know, actually saving fuel. Obviously that strategy didn't work, and he ended up throwing away yet another potential win, but his loss ended up being Tyler Ancrum's gain, even with everyone around him running out of fuel, and Ancrum himself was pretty close to running out of gas too. He must have been tapping into his reserves by the time he crossed the line, but he held on just enough. He even had enough fuel for a couple of burnouts, and he even got lost trying to get to victory lane and had Top Bodine doing cardio, chasing him around the track, trying to get an interview out of him. It was great. What was not great, however, was the broadcast. And I've said it before, I always try not to mention the, to put it nicely, uninspiring commentary from Jamie Little and Mikey. But when you got a guest commentator like Carson Hosevard, who's not even a full-time guy on the broadcast, and he ends up doing most of the heavy lifting in the booth, both on the play-by-play, color commentating, and also the race analysis, it's time for Fox to look into this. I don't know if you noticed, but this is the second race in a row that the broadcast booth missed, or in the case of this truck race, nearly missed the leader taking the checker flag. Mike Joy missed it last week at Bristol, mainly because he couldn't get Clint Boyer to shut up, and Jamie Little almost followed suit. Now, Fox probably won't do anything because it's very rare for a network to do a mid-season shuffling like that, but maybe for 2026, if we could somehow get Rick Allen on the booth, or even Eric Brennan. I don't watch ARCA myself, but from the people who do and the clips I've watched, I believe he's deserving of a shot in the Truck Series Fox booth. Just something to make the experience of watching a NASCAR race on TV or stream or whatever, just make the experience better. But yeah, other than that, the on-track racing product was great. Again, probably the best racing we have seen in this month of April, things considered actually. Congrats to Tyler Ankrum. Believe it or not, and you probably don't if you weren't around back in 2019, but this is actually his second career Truck Series win. And oddly enough, it came by way of fuel mileage too. He snaps a 130 race winless streak. I believe that's the longest winless drought in series history for a driver who had already won before. I say this because I remember Matt Crafton had something like 150 starts before he won his first career truck race back in 2008, but he hadn't won before then, so if it's between wins, then yeah, I guess Ankrum just snapped the longest winless drought in series history. And he also got a nice little cash prize thanks to the Triple Truck Challenge. This was the last race of the trips, and it's Ankrum who gets the money. And he's looking like a title contender too. 5 top 5s and 6 top 10s to go along with that win, sitting 13 points only behind Corey Heim and Chandler Smith. We all thought Daniel Hemrick would be the #1 guy on the team, especially after he won Martinsville. And he's done pretty well too, but it looks like Ankrum's making a great case for himself to be that new #1 guy at McAnally. But yeah, great race overall, despite some of the issues I had with the logistics. That being said, I really hope NASCAR invests on this track because even with the repave, the track looked a bit outdated. I mentioned the incident Majeski had with the safer barrier where they had to red flag the race to make some repairs. And also some people who were at the track have mentioned that there's still parts of the track where there are no safer barriers, just hard concrete. So again, well, I really hope NASCAR keeps racing at Rockingham long term because it's a legacy track. They really need to make some much needed safety upgrades for future races. Maybe even add some lights for night racing if the local community allows it. But yeah, the Rock is back, baby.